Picture this. It's December 23rd, 2025, the day before Christmas Eve. You're standing in your mother's kitchen wearing an apron, flour on your hands, while 25 guests are expected tomorrow, and your mother is already acting like the holiday will fall apart without you. She walks in, looks at the empty stove, and smirks. It's only 25 people. Why haven't you started cooking? I didn't argue, I didn't cry. I didn't tell her that I run a $4 million company she knows nothing about. Instead, I smiled, untied my apron, and booked a one-way ticket to Miami, leaving behind an empty kitchen and a Christmas dinner that would never be cooked. I'm Nadia Brennan, 37 years old, and this is how I finally stopped being my family's servant. 15 years ago, on my first Christmas as an adult, Christmas 2010, I was 22. Fresh out of college with a communications degree and no job in sight, the economy was still recovering, and I was back in my childhood bedroom in Denver, sending out resumes that vanished into silence. My parents' house smelled like pine and cinnamon that December. My mother, Carolyn, had decorated every corner with garlands, candles, and those little porcelain angels she collected. 15 guests were expected for Christmas dinner: aunts, uncles, cousins, and a few of my father's business contacts. Nadia, you're handling dinner. My mother announced this from the dining room while arranging flowers. She didn't ask. She informed. I looked up from my laptop, mid-cover letter. The whole dinner? For 15 people? She replied without looking at me. My sister Jenna has exams to prepare for. She can't be distracted. Jenna was 18, a college freshman, lying on the couch scrolling through her phone. Definitely not studying. I said I had job applications to finish. My mother's voice went cold. Family comes first. That was the first sign I was being treated differently. Jenna got passes. I got assignments. So I cooked. For 2 days straight. Roast turkey, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, cranberry sauce, dinner rolls, 2 pies. I set the table, polished the silverware, arranged the centerpiece. When guests arrived, I was still in the kitchen, apron stained with gravy. Meanwhile, my father stood in the living room with a glass of scotch, introducing Jenna to his business partner as the future of the family company. He walked right past me without a word as I carried a platter of appetizers. That was the second sign. Jenna was the future. I was invisible. The pattern repeated every single holiday after that. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, anniversary dinners, birthdays. I was always in the kitchen, always setting up, always cleaning after. Jenna was always at the table, charming guests, being showcased. By 2013, I'd started my own event planning business. I named it Stellar Events. I was good at coordinating logistics, managing vendors, creating experiences, skills I had learned in my parents' kitchen, ironically. But when I mentioned it to my mother, she barely looked up. Event planning, she said flatly. Like birthday parties for kids? Corporate events, I told her. Product launches, galas, conferences. That's nice, dear. Can you pick up the dry cleaning on your way home? She never asked again. Neither did my father. Neither did Jenna. So I stopped talking about it. For 12 years, I built Stellar Events in silence. First major client in 2015, a tech startup that paid me $8,000 for their launch party. By 2019, 5 employees and an office in downtown Denver. By 2023, I was managing events for Fortune 500 companies. But when I visited my parents, I still wore jeans and a plain sweater. I drove my old Honda instead of my new Audi. I never mentioned the 23 employees on my payroll or the 4.2 million in revenue we generated in 2025. Why? Because they never asked, and I was exhausted from offering information that would only be dismissed. Last Thanksgiving, November 2025, I had just closed a deal worth $600,000 with a major hotel chain. I was exhausted but proud. Then I walked into my parents' house and my mother handed me an apron. Turkey needs basting every 30 minutes. I have a schedule. 23 employees reported to me. I negotiated contracts with CEOs. I'd been featured in 3 industry publications. And my mother handed me a basting schedule. I took the apron, I basted the turkey. I served dinner to 18 people while Jenna talked about her stressful job as marketing director at my father's company, a position she had been handed, not earned. After dinner, while I was elbow deep in dishwater, I made a decision. This would be my last holiday as the family's unpaid help. I dried my hands, hung up the apron, and drove home. 2 weeks later, on December 22nd, everything changed. I was sitting in my corner office at Stellar Events, watching snow drift past the floor-to-ceiling windows, when my CFO and closest friend, Daniel Park, knocked on the glass door. He slid his tablet across my desk. An email from Claire Hargrove, CEO of Meridian Holdings, a hospitality and real estate group worth $3.8 billion. Subject: Exclusive Event Services Partnership. 2026. Meridian Holdings wanted to sign an exclusive contract with Stellar Events. All their corporate functions, client dinners, product launches, and investor galas for the entire year. The proposed value, $2.1 million. Is this real? I asked. Daniel nodded. I confirmed with their legal team. But there's a catch. The meeting is scheduled for December 24th, 11 a.m. at their headquarters in Miami. December 24th, Christmas Eve. I asked if we could reschedule. Claire Hargrove is leaving for Switzerland on the 26th, Daniel said. She won't be back until mid-January. If we don't sign by Christmas Eve, it goes to our biggest competitor. That was the moment I understood exactly what was at stake. Then my phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Call me. Important. Against every instinct I had, I called. Her voice was already clipped. Christmas plans have changed. Jenna's colleagues are joining us this year. 25 people total. I need you here early tomorrow. Cooking, decorating, all of it. Jenna's too busy with work. I gripped my phone tighter. Mom, I can't. I have a business trip to Miami tomorrow night. She laughed. Actually laughed. Miami for what? Some little party you're organizing? I told her it was a significant client meeting. She said I was being selfish. She said family comes first. She said I always prioritize myself over the people who love me. And when I still said no, she told me not to bother coming back. I hung up the phone and felt something unexpected. Relief. I landed in Miami at 1:30 in the morning, checked into my hotel, and slept for 6 hours. By 10:30 on December 24th, I was in the elevator of Meridian Holdings' glass tower. Contract notes in hand, heart hammering. Then my phone buzzed. A voicemail from Jenna. Lily, Mom is having a meltdown. No caterer will come on Christmas Eve. And this part stopped me cold. Claire Hargrove is supposed to be at our dinner tonight. I stared at my phone as the elevator opened onto a marble foyer. Claire Hargrove, the woman I was about to sign a $2 million contract with, had been invited to my parents' Christmas dinner. The meeting took 45 minutes. Claire Hargrove was sharp, thorough, and direct. She asked about our capacity, our vendor relationships, our contingency protocols. I answered every question with 12 years of preparation behind me. At 11:52 a.m., we both signed. She shook my hand warmly. Welcome to the Meridian family. Then, as she gathered her things, she mentioned she was flying to Denver that afternoon. Some business associates, the Brennan family. Richard runs a construction supply company. His daughter Jenna is quite impressive. I've been told the food at their Christmas dinner is spectacular, the food I was supposed to have cooked. I kept my expression neutral. I hope you enjoy yourself. She studied me for a moment. You know, there's something familiar about you, Ms. Brennan. Any relation to the Denver Brennans? I looked right at her and said, It's a fairly common name. She nodded and left. I sat in the empty conference room for a long time after that, the signed contract in my hands. She had no idea. That evening, while I ordered room service on my hotel balcony and watched the Atlantic turn silver under the moon, the Brennan Christmas dinner was falling apart. My mother had walked into her kitchen expecting trays of appetizers, a roasting turkey, pots on every burner. Instead, nothing. Cold appliances, empty counters, no Nadia. By 6 o'clock, 25 guests arrived to find 2 rotisserie chickens from the grocery store, a bag of premixed salad, a Costco cheese platter, and dinner rolls still in the plastic. Claire Hargrove arrived at 7:15. She swept in, exchanged pleasantries, complimented the decorations, and then a family friend named Patricia Webb looked up from her phone and said, loud enough for the whole room to hear, Wait, Nadia Brennan? Isn't that your daughter? She held up her screen showing Claire's LinkedIn post. A photo of Claire and me shaking hands in the Miami office, captioned, "Thrilled to announce our partnership with Stellar Events and the brilliant Nadia Brennan." The room went still. My mother stared at the screen, her face draining of color. My father leaned in, squinting. Claire Hargrove stepped forward, recognition crossing her face, followed by something I can only describe as delighted amusement. "Your daughter is Nadia Brennan? The founder of Stellar Events?" My mother's mouth opened and closed. "I signed a $2.1 million contract with her this morning," Claire continued. "I read her profile in Forbes last autumn. Absolutely inspiring." Forbes? Jenna's voice cracked. Nadia was in Forbes? Patricia was already searching on her phone. October issue. Nadia Brennan. The quiet force behind Stellar Events. She turned the screen so everyone could see me in my corner office, arms crossed, looking directly at the camera. The room erupted. Guests passed phones around, reading excerpts aloud. 4 million in revenue. 23 employees. A client retention rate of 93%. Everything my family had convinced themselves I wasn't. Jenna took the phone from Patricia. She stared at the article for a long moment, at the photo, at the numbers, at my name in bold print. Then she looked at my mother. "Wait," she said quietly. "Nadia built all this?" No one answered. That silence said everything. My mother stood frozen in the middle of it all. "Why didn't she tell us?" she whispered. Claire answered quietly, "Perhaps you didn't ask." The silence that followed was the most honest thing that room had heard in years. Claire set down her untouched wineglass, thanked my parents for the invitation, and left without looking back. I found out the full story 2 days later, when Patricia called me directly. "Nadia," she said, "I owe you an apology. I've known your family for 15 years, and I never once asked what you actually did. Your father is fielding calls from his business contacts who now want to work with you. And your mother, well, the community is asking questions she doesn't know how to answer." On December 29th, a handwritten letter arrived at my apartment. My father's handwriting. He wrote that he had spent 4 days trying to understand how he had missed what was right in front of him. That he had built his expectations around Jenna and looked right past me. That he was proud. Belatedly, inadequately, but genuinely. That if I was willing, he would like the chance to learn about Stellar Events. To know his daughter. I read it 3 times. Then I made coffee. A letter doesn't erase 15 years. But it was a start. On New Year's Eve, just before midnight, I called him. He answered on the first ring. I told him I was willing to try, but not the way things were. No more being the family caterer. No more dismissing my work. No more making me invisible while Jenna gets the spotlight. If I come to family events, I come as a guest, an equal. He said that's more than fair. When my mother came up, I said simply, "I've given her 15 years. He had no answer for that. At midnight, fireworks lit up the Denver skyline outside my window. I opened my laptop and wrote out my terms, clearly, professionally, the way I'd outline any business agreement. I will attend family gatherings as a guest, not a servant. I will not apologize for prioritizing my career. I will be treated as an equal, or I will not participate. My time and energy are valuable. I will spend them accordingly. Simple rules. Clear expectations. The kind of boundaries I should have set a decade ago. But here's what I've learned. It's never too late. The moment you decide you deserve better is the moment everything shifts. My parents may never fully understand what their dismissal cost me. Jenna may never say sorry, but that is no longer my problem. For the first time in 15 years, I wasn't cooking Christmas dinner. I was finally living my own life,